bag. We got to go back to the story about Jussie Smollett, the guy from Empire. I remember I talked about this. I admired Smollett a lot. I loved the show Empire in the first season. And he had this hate crime that he said happened to him in Chicago. And I said, you know, if it happened, I hope they drop the bad guys down into an oubliette and never let them out. It was a terrible thing. He was attacked by guys. He said, we're shouting MAGA and we're calling, he's gay and black. And they were shouting racial slurs and gay slurs and all this stuff. And they put a noose around his neck. Well, the cops in Chicago have gotten like every minute of his journey on videotape, except they say for about 60 seconds, and they have not found it. They asked for his phone records, and he submitted phone records to the police, but those records have been rejected because they were not they were redacted, they were edited, and they said these are not good evidence. They are looking for evidence that he was talking to his manager at the time of the attack, because his manager says he heard the shouting, he heard the racial and homophobic slurs, and the Chicago PD hasn't seen them. Now, it looks like this is unraveling. It really does. I mean, I didn't want to say that when I heard it. I just had an instinct about it when I first heard it, because it was just too on the nose. It's like when you hear one of those quotes, so like George Washington says, you know, you should listen to Fox News. You think, no, that doesn't really sound right to me. This just didn't sound right to me. It does sound like it's unraveling. They could still find some evidence about it. He's going to go on TV tomorrow, I think, on Good Morning America, and they showed a clip of him crying about it, and he's going to make an emotional plea. But the thing that really bothers me about this is, like, I don't have any sources in the Chicago police. I was as honest as I could be that it was just my feeling about it, that I admire him as an entertainer. I think he's a terrific talent, but the story didn't gel to me. Now, if I can do that, shouldn't so-called journalists have done it? And yet, Grabian has put together a montage of the journalists reporting the story with complete credulity. Why? Because it is a fiction that describes the world as they see it. It is not a fiction that describes the truth. It describes their feelings about things. And just like a faked hate crime is a fiction. Let's take a look at just a little bit of this montage.
His attackers hurled racial and homophobic slurs.
Two people yelled racist and homophobic slurs.
Racial and homophobic slurs.
Not only homophobia, we're talking about racism. We're talking about hate with steroids.
They are looking for two suspects who were apparently wearing Make America Great Again hats.
The offenders uttered, "This is MAGA country."
The hate crime went down early this morning in Chicago.
Officials are investigating the alleged assault as a hate crime.
And now police say they're investigating this as a possible hate crime.
Anyone attacked in a hate crime like this is an outrage.
This is stomach-turning, mind-boggling information. It's out of control.
Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi tweeting the racist, homophobic attack on Jussie Smollett is an affront to our humanity.
And Senator Cory Booker said the vicious attack on actor Jussie was an attempted modern-day lynching.
Kamala Harris calling the attack an attempted modern-day lynching.
But I'm so shaken by the story. This is horrible to report.
So you know, they want this to be true so desperately. They think this is what America is. So they're telling this story because they think it represents the truth. But it does represent a truth. It represents the truth of their internal world, of their dislike for this country, their distrust of this country, their hatred of ordinary people. And I've said this before, but you cannot love freedom if you don't love the ordinary people who are the beneficiaries of freedom. You know, you can't want people to be free if you don't like the people. This fiction, if it turns out to be entirely a fiction, if this turns out to be a made-up hate crime, and if it doesn't, I'll come back and talk about that. But if it turns out to be what it looks like now, to be an actual piece of fiction, an actual untruth, then you have to figure out what truth that fiction tells. And what it tells is that Jussie Smollett and all those people you just saw do not trust this country, do not trust the people of this country, expect this sort of thing. And when it doesn't happen, and when somebody says it happens, they're just all too willing to believe, like the story of Russian collusion.